All right, thanks for joining. I'm getting started in just a minute, going through a bunch of stuff related to Epstein tonight because there was a lot to cover. I'm trying to fix this layout a little bit. I'm not sure why it's like cut off at the bottom like that, but I'll deal with it for today and I'll try to figure it out later. Yeah, that'll have to do for now. So yeah, I've been kind of keeping up with stuff today, but I haven't really gotten to really look into it. So I just kind of bookmarked a few things that were kind of going viral that people had already found. And I'm going to review them on stream. And then after that, I'm going to dig into the files to see if we could find anything that hasn't been found yet, because there was a whole bunch of stuff released. And it seems like the strategy is to kind of put a whole bunch of bullshit in there with the real stuff and try to mix it all together so it's hard to differentiate what's real and what's not. I think there kind of can be some ways to figure that out, because a lot of the stuff that's bullshit is just random tips that the FBI got when they were investigating the situation. A lot of that stuff's worth looking into, but there's also a lot of stuff that you really is not verifiable. But on the other hand, there is like actual witness testimony. So the challenge is kind of sifting between those things. Hey, what's up? Welcome. Yeah, so sifting between those things and trying to see where the information comes from and like what the source of each of these things are. Um, but yeah, I think that's definitely their strategy, to just bury people in as much stuff as possible and to make it hard to sift through. Of course, people are eventually going to figure things out, but the fact that they planted the seed of doubt with all this stuff that's come out today is it was a smart maneuver for sure, because they put out that letter with that was apparently between Epstein and the gymnast coach that was a predator, Nasser. I forget his first name. But yeah, so and it was saying like crazy stuff. It was like basically a suicide note where he was implicating Trump in a big way, and it just read very weird. And then they came out with a bunch of discrepancies about it, and then you know there's still kind of some debate about that. We could probably get into that later, but I think that there's a lot more kind of crazy stuff in there, including the possibility that Trump had taken out witnesses. So there's that possibility as well. But yeah, I think let's look through some of these major files that people found. This one was pretty intense. This one is a alleged victim that says that Trump and Epstein both assaulted her. And this I'm gonna a lot of this would probably be not great to read on stream, but this was the one where she may have been taken out by them. Let's see what I can read. So, redacted advised to call the police regarding the incident, as stated, I can't, they will kill me. On Christmas Day, redacted contacted redacted stated that she had in fact called the police about what they did, what they had talked about. Redacted told, it's hard to read like that, she had done good. Redacted did not hear from redacted or redacted until 1/10/2000. So probably victim did not hear from Trump or and Epstein until that seems to be from the context. Blank reached out to blank stating that blank was dead and noted that she was found with her head, quote unquote, blown off in Kiefer, Oklahoma. Officers on the scene stated that there was no way it was a suicide. So, this we got to figure out where this comes from. This document in the post, and not that I would totally trust this, especially these days, but let's just see what it says. The document in this post is from FBI files released by the DOJ on December 23, 2025, as part of the Epstein related materials. It describes an anonymous 2020 tip that was overheard about a call. Yeah, so this one is a little bit secondhand, but it is still quite intense, and it is not looking right. This one was quite interesting too. And there have been some indications of these kind of yeah, I did actually hear that the redacted bits can be cleared away for some of them. Uh, but I've tested it and not all of them. So it all you have to do is copy and paste it into a Word document because they just or a Photoshop document in some cases, and you can get rid of them and see what it actually says. And a lot of people have been doing that. I tested it out a little bit. I couldn't do it, but that's probably because I was testing it out on the newest ones. It might work probably better on the older ones because I'm guessing that they figured it out. The other thing is that I was going through Gmail, not the documents on the DOJ website. So I'm not sure if it was one of those things where if you copy it, it won't work. I'm not that smart to know that. But yeah, I think it is like an Adobe thing, something like that. But yeah, that was that was happening too, which is crazy, like the incompetence, and it just shows like uh where the resources are going and where the energy is going. But this I saw was particularly crazy, and there have been Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, has been quite vocal about how he thought that his brother was killed. Like the only time he ever talks in the media is when he's talking about getting justice for his brother, basically, which sounds weird. But yeah, he usually never wants to talk about the case or the things that he is accused of. He just wants to say like my brother was killed. He never really says by who, although he's dropped some hints of like who was in charge. But some things released give some very specific, kind of accusations, and this was confirmed to be real because after this came out today, of course, all the journalists started contacting everybody with all these leads to try to see if there was any legitimacy to any of them. And Mark Epstein did confirm that this was real. So he claimed that Epstein was killed because he was about to name names. This was on February 22nd, 2023. So Mark Epstein himself submitted a tip to the FBI. And he said he believes that President Trump authorized the murder. This was filed through the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, and the tip was marked as a non-emergency with no active threat to life. So let's take a look at this. And this was confirmed that he said he did send this. Violation. Jeffrey Epstein was murdered in his jail cell. I have reason to believe he was killed because he was about to name names. I believe President Trump, he's a misspeller just like his brother. I believe President Trump authorized his murder. Wow. That is wild. And Mark Epstein was also the one who went around on the media about a month ago saying that, basically telling everybody how heavily redacted all this was going to be. I think there's probably more to oh, thank you guys. I appreciate the support. Yeah, I'm just getting started over after many years of kind of being away from things. I used to be a journalist in the independent media starting in like 2011 or something like that. Before that, I was throwing raves back when it was like quasi legal to be doing that, and I got in trouble, and my club got in trouble, and I ended up fighting with the police about it, and that's how I kind of got into activism. And with my platform, I just started I shifted more to writing, and the all the things that have happened over the past few years with all the splintering of the activist groups and the you know of the independent media as well, because you know um people have a less inclination to you know uh, there's more of a trust in mainstream media, I think, than there was 10 years ago, even though we trust that there's problems with it, because there have just been so many misinformation campaigns online. And I didn't know how to like interact with the kind of world that was building, especially because I went through my cancer thing and stuff too. So, but I've been watching for the past couple of years, and I feel like I'm ready to get started like with this again. So I definitely appreciate your help and support there. Very cool. But yeah, that I don't know why this was connected to this tweet here. But this apparently says that emails link 450 million Da Vinci sale to MBS Epstein and Russian oligarch. A 2019 email exchange between Epstein and Michael Wolff raised questions about a 450 million art sale to Mohammed bin Salman, that is the Prince of Saudi Arabia, allegedly for a painting worth only 1.5 million. Interesting. I was looking through Jmail earlier, and it looks like they are adding new stuff to this. So I saw a new entry in here, I think, for bin Salman, Sultan bin Salman. All these are from Sultan bin Salman. So maybe we'll check them out later after we go through some of these. I'll put that on the list because that's quite interesting, because that's like a big uh, power player on the global stage for sure. Let's see what we got here. This is more on the alleged yeah, you're not supposed to say that word. How he passed, apparently. So the other interesting thing is that they released that fake AI video of like, you know, him not roping himself in his cell, and it it kind of it's a part of that create confusion with all of this just flooding the media with all this. But at the same time, it's also like, were they really trying to pass that off? Because you know um he did try to pass off the MS-13 on the guy's knuckles or whatever that was just photoshopped on. So like, why wouldn't he pass off an AI video of Epstein off on himself? But it is weird though, because the other thing about that letter between Nasser and um, or that Epstein sent to Nasser is the fact that um, in it, he did two kind of conflicting things. If you're trying to create a narrative, depending on who you are involved in that situation. So, for example, he said that he was going to off himself, basically, in that letter, and he also implicated Donald Trump. And it definitely came from the jail, but it probably wasn't him. So people are starting to speculate about who it could be. And Bill Barr or Bob Barr, what is it? Whoever, I always get that mixed up. Whoever was attorney general at the time, and he was in charge of the prison basically. And he might have written a letter saying that Epstein was going to do that, but he wouldn't have implicated Trump. So it is very weird that the evidence is pointing to it. It was sent from from the prison, but it doesn't look like it was Epstein with like handwriting and stuff like that. But they still won't release the handwriting test that they apparently did. But let's look into this and see what this has to say here. Uh, that letter needs to be checked. Yeah, exactly. That letter does need to be checked about handwriting. Apparently they did, but I have not seen anything yet, and apparently they haven't released it to the public. But let's see what it says. On July 23rd, 2019, Epstein was found unconscious in his cell at MCC New York with neck injuries. Oh, okay. So this was about the first time that he had an incident in his cell. A lot of people don't know about this, but in the days leading up to his death, um, there was a situation where he is accused of trying to off himself, basically. It says medical staff documented a circular line of uh, arith- arrhythmia. I shouldn't have even tried that. At the base of the neck, along with other marks of friction and bruising on his knee. Epstein told prison staff he didn't remember what happened, but was afraid to return to the special housing unit, saying it was where he had gotten marks on his neck, and he does not know why it happened. So this is crazy. Could he have been drugged and somebody had, or maybe in his sleep, somebody had tried to do something? Um, I'll get into a potential possibility in a minute. And I think I wrote an article about this when it happened. He said he had only slept 30 minutes a night for 5 days due to noise and stress. His cellmate, ex-cop Nicholas Tartaglione, had reportedly been harassing him, and Epstein claimed he tried to kill me. So this guy is also trying to get a pardon from Trump right now. Staff noted that Tartaglione had been aggressive and had been mocking Epstein with a string around his neck. Like, despite these signs, the incident was labeled as a possible suicide attempt. And now we got some documents here. Hopefully, not. It should all be safe for YouTube. So that was when he was alive. This was the memo that went out, basically, that documents what happened after this alleged attempt. But I mean, this Nicholas Tartaglione guy, yeah, he is. I remember at the time he looks like what you would think with. Wait, I copied too much. Nicholas Tartaglione. Let's see. Let's see this guy. Wait. And yeah, so this is what he's in jail for. This guy is in jail forever. Former police officer sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences for 2016 quadruple murder. So if you are going to get somebody to do something on the inside, this would probably be a good candidate, especially if you can provide this guy with things like Galen is being provided with right now, like special treatment to live out your days in the best possible condition. And if you've already killed 4 people and probably more as an NYPD cop, to be honest with you, um, yeah, he wouldn't have a problem with it. And there's a lot. Let's check this guy out. See, I mean, come on, like this guy might be the guy that killed him, you know? Um, I think that it is feasible. Um, yeah. So let's see what else what that ended with. Go back to this post here. The eating shower chart indicated yesterday he ate dinner, drank liquids, and took a shower when offered. The psych observation log noted he brushed teeth, so it's just saying he went about his normal day. Let's see what's underlined here. He stated he cannot remember what happened in SHU that caused the marks on his neck. He is anxious about going back to SHU because he stated that he is going back to a place where he had gotten marks on his neck and he does not know why it happened. Like this this is wild. Th- there are some indications that he, was planning for his demise, like changing his will shortly before, but this like there's more evidence on the side that he didn't, of course, that it was somebody else. And I wonder if he was moved from Tartaglione's cell or if he was still in the same cell. Um, Even if he was moved, you could imagine that if the guards were in on it, like it seems, because I feel like they had a financial windfall after this situation. I could look this up in a minute to confirm. But I believe, oh wow, there's things that I should not have on screen on there. Sorry about that. Sorry to the YouTube overlords. Let's see what we got. This was another interesting one, and I browsed through this last night, and I favored it, but I didn't even really get deep into it. But there were multiple passports, false passports, that Epstein had in the new Trova documents that came out last night, and yeah, I always get them too confused. I always get them too confused. Um, yeah, so this lends more credibility to the theory about him potentially, being a CIA or Mossad asset, probably both. And I think that's actually the wrong way of thinking about it. And if I think he is more of a person who uses intelligence agencies. He is, like I would say, on an equal footing, or, um, you know, I wouldn't say above, because of the fact that he's a part of that thing. Like he even sold um, that kind of technology, like uh, defense, whatever you call it, intelligence technology with Ehud Barak. So he had been in this business a long time. It even goes back as far as Iran Contra, as a lot of drop site reporting has shown recently. So, this is just more kind of evidence of that theory. And let's see. Police tipped off in 2004 after cab driver dropped off 15 and 17-year-olds. A cab driver flagged down police. Police began low level surveillance and trash pulls, but no arrests followed at the time. This was months before a 14-year-old stepmother launched the major investigation. And that is basically what this says. All right. Yeah, this was what somebody was saying earlier about how you can unredact the files. I think this was, let's see what this says. This is kind of hard to read. Redacted knew about criminal activity which happened in multiple states on airplane, etc. Redacted claimed there were films of men who were recorded. These men are prominent figures such as Epstein, President Bill Clinton, and President Donald Trump. Maxwell is also on the tapes. So this is another one of those might be iffy uh, submissions to the FBI. Let's see who it's from. It's redacted. So that is challenging, because if we knew who it was from, we could actually do some investigation to see like how credible they are. But that is gonna have to be that's gonna have to be kind of flagged for later. Let's see. This is from one of Epstein's emails. He says Churkin was great. He understood Trump after our conversations. Oh, I've seen this one. It is not complex. He must be seen to get something. It is that simple. This is when Epstein was like consulting with Russian diplomats about like how to deal with Trump. Yeah. I don't know who. I think Thorburn Jagland is one of his contacts over there. This was the big one, and they are I think there's like 6 names so far revealed in this. There's 10 co-conspirators, investigated by the, DOJ, which, first of all, it totally, it makes everybody at the DOJ and the FBI pretty much, or at least the heads, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, guilty of perjury because they said, uh, under oath that there were no other co-conspirators. Now they might wiggle out of it because of the way that they said there were no credible allegations or no credible leads. Um, but yeah, that was one of the big breakthroughs. The only thing is, though, that a large portion of those 10 were pilots and stuff like that. So that's I mean, they were to some extent, of course, co-conspirators. They participated in it, but that's I don't think what a lot of people are looking for sure. They should definitely go to jail, but yeah, I don't think that they are looking for that. So let's see what it says here. Of the 10 co-conspirators, 3 have been located in Florida. That's interesting, huh? And served GJ subpoenas, one in Boston, one in NYC, and one in Connecticut. I mean, these are, you know, old money areas if you think about it. And with Florida, it's probably, you know, the Palm Beach area people. 4 of the 10 are outstanding, with attempts having been made. One is a wealthy businessman in Ohio. That's Wes Lexner, of course. Les Wexner, like dyslexic or something. A lead is being sent to CV. The remaining 3 are currently out of pocket. That's like a legal term, I guess. The team 8 essays. I don't know that terminology. I guess that's the flight. That's the flight team or the plane is flying out tonight, tomorrow to various locations in Florida to interview approximately 25 victims. The FBI line is up and running. We have received approximately 45 calls, and we are in the process of vetting out. Let me know if you need anything else. Okay, so the main thing is that gives the location of these 10 co-conspirators. We know one is in Ohio. Um, you know, we could definitely guess on who the Florida people are, or the NYC. But again, a couple of these are pilots from one that I saw, and I think I bookmarked it, so we'll probably see that in a minute. I always got to remember to go back on this. Let's see. An email chain that does more damage than any list. Let's see if I missed this one. Yeah, no, I got that. So let's see. Federal prosecutors inside the U.S. Attorney's Office are trying to get a basic inventory of the electronic evidence seized from Epstein's properties, computers, hard drives, disks, the digital nervous system of the operation. This is like a so chat GPT. Everything that this guy writes is for real. And they can't get it. At one point, frustration boils over into honesty. The FBI is completely fucking with us on this. All right. Actually, it's Grok probably. This isn't all right. Let's see. Bullshit prediction. This is why. What you trying to say? Let's just read the what? It's a big redacted thing. Okay, wait. Notwithstanding, there are many promises to us about quick and effective processing of the 60 plus devices they seized. The FBI is completely fucking with us on this. Oh, okay, that's what it says in the thing. But who is it from and to? I wonder if this is one of the ones. It's just a screenshot. I could probably find it in the actual files if I the search function on Gmail works decently. Let's see. I'll check it later. Yeah, this is kind of where I was saying he committed perjury. So this is what I went through last night on stream, and I didn't even realize what I was dealing with because I had no clue. I was like, "Oh, I think these are new. Like this is the most recent one." And little did I know that the DOJ had released it like 2 hours before, and they had taken it down like an hour after I went to sleep. So yeah, that was pretty wild. And then I woke up, and of course there was all that drama about it, and then they put it up again. Um, but it says, "Hi guys, any comments on the Epstein work release letter? It's already hand delivered." And the other thing, like I looked over last night, was just how casual the prosecutors and defense teams were talking back and forth in the emails when Epstein got his sweetheart deal. And this was Alex Acosta, who ended up being temporarily the labor secretary for Donald Trump until people found out about this, and he had to step down. Um, just the way they were joking about how they were glad that the media hadn't latched onto the story and that they were surprised. So there was a bunch of really crazy stuff in that. I think this is kind of old. Wait, I think that's an old clip from Howard Stern where he's Trump is being a creep, but we'll look through the files and we'll check that out later if we have time. This was, yeah, hold up. Let's see what it says here. Villeneuve, Lisa Villeneuve. Who is she? We'll have to figure it out in a minute. I looked through it earlier, and I feel like I feel like I got a bio, but then can't remember it. But let's see. There's so many names that all smashed together. Schmidt said no one meant cocaine. Okay. Villeneuve took redacted back inside, and someone told the party that Donald Trump had invited them all to the party at Mar-a-Lago. Blank told Villeneuve, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, that she wanted to go, but she was told that it wasn't that kind of party, it was for prostitutes. Redacted hasn't spoken to Villeneuve since 2002. And of course, that word, that is the word that they used for the people that they victimized. They called them that. And, you know, um, so when they're saying, that it's not like a legal, you know, a legal terminology, I guess you could say. Yeah, so let's go on to the net. Let's see who she is, though. I'm gonna have to search that. Lisa Villeneuve. Yeah, let's see. Villeneuve now goes by Ghislaine Lisa Villeneuve. What? This is the same file. Okay. There's no bio for this person? Okay, so nobody knows who this person is, but she goes by Ghislaine Lisa Villeneuve. So Ghislaine might have been using a fake name when she was dealing with this this person. If this allegation is legit. Um you know, but it is just more that's gonna pile up. And this is why I think they put out so much stuff, including every random tip that came into the FBI, because they didn't. I don't think that that was a part of what they were compelled to do. Let's see if this has any. No more information on the co-conspirators. There was a list of names that we had here. This was more about Mark Epstein. I bookmarked a lot of this same stuff. So the U.S. attorney may have illegally tipped off the Trump campaign in 2020. They emailed Trump traveled on Epstein's jet many more times than previously reported. So they knew this in 2020, even though they were going around saying he's never been on the plane, including times during which they planned to charge Maxwell for. And they didn't want it to be a surprise down the road. So these are people within the U.S. attorney's office emailing to each other. For your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's plane. We knew that. In particular, he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights. This is way back then. He is listed as traveled with, among others at various times, Marla Maples, his daughter Tiffany, and his son Eric. Wasn't there something with Marla Maples? Let's see what. Oh, okay, yeah. She was Trump's wife, second wife. That was why that sounded familiar. We didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. Well, it was. Let's see. There's an email with the subject new investigation that includes a PDF that is labeled Epstein's Black Book. In another email, the FBI is sending around an unredacted version. Attached is an unredacted version of the book. Hope this helps with what you're looking into. I'm in NJ. I have everything downloaded to CD. Let's see. So there was a subpoena at Mar-a-Lago in the investigation of Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's see what this says. Anything interesting? Doesn't give any details about what they're looking for, but this is dated 2021. So this was after they had, this was probably around the same time that they had arrested her in New Hampshire. Okay. I wonder if we could find out more about what's that's related to. This was another interesting one that when they arrested Steve Bannon for scamming his own followers out of money to build a wall on the southern border, they confiscated his phone and they found pictures of Trump with Maxwell. But it's not clear when those pictures were taken because the pictures are blacked out. So this could have been a picture from way back in the day, or it could have been a picture from recently, which is what some people are suggesting. I wouldn't know, but you know, I don't know one way or the other, because there are a lot of pictures of them from back in the day, and it is plausible to say that they would be on Bannon's phone. But at the same time, it's also plausible that they had met recently, and you know that they were dealing with whatever behind the scenes, working out whatever kind of deal to keep him out of the spotlight like this, which has ended up happening. So I think that is quite interesting, and the photo is going to come out eventually. So we're going to figure that out eventually. So this is the Mar-a-Lago party thing, Epstein's brother. I think we went through most of this stuff. Businessman named Nigel Oakes named in the latest Epstein files public release. In what regard? Let's see. Nigel Oakes could easily know Jeffrey Epstein. I have tried to ascertain whether Nigel Oakes is on the Lolita Express flight logs, but have not been able to download the data. I am following the case against. All right, so not. This is another one. This one, I think we haven't looked at yet. Okay, so this was a letter that somebody wrote to support Ghislaine Maxwell in her bail application. And the thing is that um, people are speculating that Trump wrote this because such significant portions of how they know each other are blacked out, and they see where this arrow is pointing. They see that as being similar to Donald Trump's signature. Which let me pull this up and see if that's accurate, because that's, you never know what people let's see, Donald Trump's signature. I'll pull it up. We could look at it and see. I can't, let's see. I can kind of see it. Let's see. And this is kind of curving a little bit more this way, unless they're thinking that it's this one. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's a wild, I don't know. I don't know where they're coming from with that. Let's see what this guy's trying to say here. Oh, this was just somebody commenting on it with the Mark Epstein thing. So, Alan Dershowitz, this is one I wanted to look at. An agent forwarded this email to another agent about reporters asking if they can confirm that Dershowitz victimized one of the Epstein's victims. Just wanted to let you know I got a call on my personal cell from a writer at New York Magazine on the Epstein case. She interviewed Redacted. The report had asked me to verify that I was an agent and that Jason and myself traveled to Australia and interviewed Redacted, and that she disclosed that she, with Epstein and Alan Dershowitz. I told her I was an agent and all inquiries about the case would have to thoroughly redacted and redacted. That's interesting. So, have these feelings become more frequent? I don't know how this is confirmation. I mean, I believe that Dershowitz is guilty as hell. I just that's because we don't know. We know it's between two agents, but it doesn't seem to say. It's just talking about conversations between reporters. So I'm not sure what the deal is there. The Villanova girl was on Derp with. Oh, okay. I did not know that. I'm gonna have to look up that. So it's a real person, and it wasn't just one of Ghislaine Maxwell's aliases. So that person was looking up. Yeah, this was weird that in the pictures, somebody found a whole bunch of police uniforms that Epstein had in one of his homes. What's this letter from Wexner said? I wanted to get you what you want, but here it is. Okay. That's lame, but not incriminating. Um, Notwithstanding, okay, so this is the bottom of the email where the guy said the FBI is completely fucking with us. Unfortunately, I don't think this is very helpful. Did you take a look at the example of the spreadsheet? Yeah, it looks like the main interesting detail was up there. So I think that probably brings us to everything, and then I can actually dig. Oh, this was one more, and then we dig into the files, because I think the rest of them were just like crazy stuff. We'll see. What is this from? Lex Wessner used his foundation to infiltrate Israel's political, military, and intelligence leadership. The network was absorbed into World Economic Forum. It doesn't give us source. Okay, so this is from Whitney Webb's book, not from the Whitney Webb's book is definitely, or both of her books are definitely worth reading. But I'm just looking for the documents right now. This is from a see, this is the kind of thing I was saying. There's some crazy dude named Chris Delorio who was just sending a bunch of wild stuff in there, and they just included all of this. And yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of it, but you can if you want to look up Chris Delorio and you could find it. I think some of it's kind of funny, but I don't wanna spend too much time on that. Yeah, this one was kinda crazy. It's saying I think that this was another one of those random FBI tips, but it's saying that Nicholas I don't know who Nicholas is. Wait. Yeah, it doesn't say. Nicholas worked security for Bill and Hillary Clinton as redacted 8 at a place where Nicholas worked security at the door. Hillary walked up to Blank drunk and began yelling as they asked Blank to leave and fired Nicholas, which led to Nicholas to attempt to set up Blank for the bombing. So this was apparently like about the Oklahoma City bombing. So there is just like so much wild shit in there. Um, so here's these names that I saw. Okay, prospective jurors for Ghislaine Maxwell were asked about the following names. Okay. I wonder why. Let's see. Cora Friedland. I don't think we looked through that one yet. Let's see. Epstein. Nope. So then this is just the file. Yeah. So this when it's somebody like this that doesn't have any kind of online footprint, it's most likely somebody that worked for him in some capacity. Let's go back and check the other one. Yeah, because I definitely wanted to check this list. This is the one I was looking for. This is another one. Not much. Emily Epstein, no. These are probably, and it's quite interesting that the people that they are going after most hardcore are the people that just like worked for him. Which yeah, they are a part of the criminal enterprise, but it's like it feels like they're just kind of being sacrificed, you know what I mean? Another one. Yeah, all of these names, these are people that the grand jury was asked about, and they all have no digital footprint whatsoever. Let's see. Another one. So yeah, I would be willing to bet that these are all employees. I think we got two more. Just checking just in case, because you never know. Some will come up with something interesting. Oh, I copied instead of pasted. Kimberly Savino and Jane Henrith. Uh, just the same thing. And this was a letter from or an email from the assistant United States attorney. So this is one of the legit ones. It just so happens that all of these people are ghosts and have no digital footprint. So I would imagine that these could potentially even be witnesses that are in some kind of witness protection program now. That's a potential too. Or they're just sitting up in some mansion. Jane Heinrich? This is Jill Heinrich. Okay. And that's the yeah, so all of those names that the grand jury had to check out do not have an online footprint, which is really strange, especially because they're involved in this high profile case. And look, somebody says how many are dead. That's actually a sadly good point as well. I think I saw another one below that. I forgot about how much stuff I bookmarked today to check out. I did bookmark a lot of repeats though because I was busy day. Let's see. This is more about Mark Epstein. All right. So now let's see. I'm gonna go to Gmail. And we can look through some of these files. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm gonna talk about the David thing because that is crazy. Um, I'm not sure how many of you have been following the David case. I talked about it a little bit on one of my earlier streams, but it is really nuts, and it has a small connection to Epstein now, which makes it even crazier, even though it's not a massive connection, it's still quite significant. So, we'll check that out in a second. Why is it not allowing me to Oh, okay, there it is. Thank you for bearing with me as I figure out some of this, presentation stuff. So, we could go to the oh, wait. They changed the interface. Oh, okay. So before, all of the options of the things that you could do were up at the top. Now they're down here at the bottom, like set up like a Mac or whatever. And this is supposed to be like you're in Jeffrey Epstein's Google basically. So if you go to the J drive, they upload whatever comes from trying to click on it. Hopefully this works. If not, I'll have to go directly to, let's see. Gmail worked. Let me type in .drive. It might just be the interface is, yeah, we could get into Drive. Okay. It's loading a bit slow though. I bet that there's a ton of people in here right now. Because this is the main hub that everybody has been going now, and it's jmail.world. It's really easy to get to. If you're trying to navigate it now, though, it seems like it is a little bit difficult to navigate. Let's see though. This is new stuff too. Let's see. DOJ files. There should be a volume 8 latest. So this is the stuff that has most recently come out. Yeah, I looked through this earlier. So I found a way to navigate this as well. You could sort this by most redacted and least redacted. It's not, it's not that significant, but I do think a lot of these heavily redacted documents tend to have the most interesting stuff in it. And the least um the least redacted documents tend to be like, I'll show you. This is what the least, really? Prepared for trial testimony previously disclosed. Okay. Um yeah. Oh, and I did say I was going to look at the David thing. I got thrown off um by not being able to share the screen. Um so yeah, this guy is like a singer, and he is accused of not only murdering a young girl, but like grooming her and stuff too. And this was her body was found in the trunk of his Tesla in like September, and had apparently been there for a really long time. And he was on tour when it happened, and he's still at large, and it's been like 4 months now. And I showed a little bit of this, but let's take a look at his dad first, though. This guy's definitely his dad. I looked it up. I looked through a couple of stories online that connected him to David, and it's spelled D4vd if you're ever researching this. But this guy works as a litigation support manager at Troutman Pepper Lock. Now, this is the law firm. Now, this law firm is they it's a very weird situation. They are the lawyers of Epstein's lawyer, and it's quite strange. So I'll look this up, look this firm up so you can see. Troutman Pepper Lock Epstein. Yeah, so they're managing Epstein's estate. Let's search for Troutman. This is in a Newsweek article. So let's see. Yeah, so where's the first mention? So the Florida-based law firm Troutman Pepperlock, which has been managing Epstein's estate, have been emailed for a comment. So this is a massive law firm, you know, and they probably have a lot of cases and a lot of people working at a lot of cases. And this guy, it says he's a litigation support manager. So he's not like, the lead guy. Uh so you don't know like if which case he's working on, but it is very weird that this superstar singer who is currently under suspicion of of killing like a 13-year-old girl or something like that is now connected in this weird way. And there was a whole bunch of weird stuff with that case too. Like she, of course, she was found in his trunk and stuff, and um just the details of the case matched up perfectly with a music video that he put out, where, let's see, um uh, hit with copyright if I let it play, like the music play, and go through it the whole time. But I'll take you to the end here, where it's like very graphic, and it's like it seems like he is killing a young woman, right? And there was a scene in here where I think he's like driving, out into the middle of nowhere and throws her in a trunk. If not, that's in a different music video that he had. So it's really a crazy crazy situation. So let's see what this researcher here says. Duwad Burke is a litigation support manager at Troutman Pepper Locke, the law firm that is a co-executor and manager of the Jeffrey Epstein estate. Troutman Pepper Locke lawyers have provided various Epstein records to the House Oversight Committee following subpoenas. So this is the law firm that is in charge of handing over a lot of that information, not the stuff that's coming from the DOJ, but the stuff that's coming from Epstein's estate that the House Oversight Committee has. So that it's just wild to think the connections here. But I know, it is getting a little bit into crazy territory. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that David's father, Duwad Burke, has worked in some capacity on the Epstein files. This is a macabre irony in the given amount of joking in David's Discord server about Jeffrey Epstein, and even Celeste joking with David on the live stream together about David being a PDF, which prompted David to ask mods to delete the stream. And yeah, that is a stream that I saw it, and they're both on there on the screen, and she obviously shouldn't be. He doesn't want her on there because it's exposing him as like the crime he's committing, essentially. So yeah, and I looked up this guy's LinkedIn. It exists. It's connected with these companies. So that's just a really really weird connection there. I would definitely, I'm probably going to be keeping up on that story because it's too weird. It's messed up, and the thing that bothers me about it, and the reason why I continue to pay attention to it, is because this guy has been walking free for like 4 months now after a body's found in his car, and it's of a very young girl. Like, how anybody else with a body found in their car would be, in jail. I don't know how he's getting away with it. And you know, I definitely feel like when you have money, they will they will wait until they have everything lined up because they know that you're going to have a lawyer that can handle it. But if you are just an average person, they will throw you away, and they will ask questions later because they know that you can't fight back. I think that's the kind of situation that's happening here. There's also a lot of people that suggest that he has left the country, and that might be a possibility too, and they just don't want to look stupid. So I'm just gonna continue to fly through these and see if there's anything interesting, and if anybody else has any links that they want to send, I'll check them out as well. So let's see how. I wonder why they are grayed out like that. Oh, okay. They keep on changing the interface on this. I know that they're trying to they not trying to. They're making it better, but at the same time, I get used to using it a particular way. There are a lot of names in here. Let's see. I don't even know where to start. Let's see what we got. I'll scroll through and see if there's anybody that I recognize first. And then if not, Ted Kennedy. Whoops. This is from a book. See, this is what I'm saying. And this is from House Oversight now. They're just burying people in slop, it seems. Ted Kennedy, Alan Dershowitz. Here we go. This is gonna be some. What do we got here? Letter. Alex, I wanted to have a one-on-one conversation regarding yesterday's call, what Lily has represented regarding the New York Times. Characterization of David Weinstein's actions as merely third-party hearsay. Statute of trafficking. So these are agents that are apparently writing to each other. Wait, no. No, no. These are people who are calling themselves FBI agents who are commenting to each other. The fuck? Oh, and they have taken that's what's happened. They have been nice enough to translate what is on these, essentially, is what happened. If Alan Dershowitz and Ken are able to convince either Bob Sr. or Washington, I have more confidence in Washington's openness, that the Fed statutes don't apply. So it looks like they're trying to like get Dershowitz off. I realize that emotions are running high on both sides, but if you take a step back, which I again strongly urge you to do, I think you'll agree that our current proposal, while not what we would ultimately want, nor the preferred solution is currently the best solution overall for both of us. I think it is fair and just. I'd like you to think about it, and I'd suggest we postpone setting up any firm meeting date until tomorrow. Until tomorrow, capital. Interesting. Did he type it like that? I'm not gonna get that deep, but that is wild. So they are disputing allegations against Dershowitz here. Dershowitz famously admitted to getting a massage, but he claims that he always left his underwear on. Yeah, that is thanks for asking that. There is no way to tell which documents can be unredacted with the copy and paste method. I think it's some of the older ones, but yeah, we can actually. I'll pull up a just to check. I should be looking at all of these and checking that. So I'm gonna bring up a Google Doc and I'm going to copy and paste a lot of these into there and see if I can. Let's see if I get anything from here. It looks like a schedule. I can't. This is an image, unfortunately. So yeah, it looks like the ones that are images, I definitely can't copy and paste. But the ones that are Adobe files, I think. So I think it depends what type of file it is. So I might look for ones that are like PDFs and not JPEGs. Let's see. Yeah, they put out. And what is this? This is a scrapbook, I guess, of some sort. Unless it's something the FBI set up. Put a bunch of junk in here. All right. Let's see. All people will go to most redacted. I found a bunch of good stuff at the bottom here when I was looking. Not there. It's weird. I wasn't looking for a picture. All right. So, question for award application. Nah. Let's see. Workers at house. So, this is like the staff's itinerary. Jerome, Allen from Cassidy Air. Okay. I thought I was looking for Alan Dershowitz in there. John Cassidy Air came and cleaned the air filter. It's very mundane house cleaning type stuff, I guess you could say. Okay, here, this might be an actual report. These are the things that are usually legit. Reporter states she and CVS mother redacted are very concerned for CV because she is mentally ill and she has mentality of a 13-year-old as well as borderline personality disorder. They have reason to believe that CV is being trafficked because CV leaves with old and rich men and gets money from these encounters, as well as his Instagram messages confirming that CVS is at the location. Okay. So Instagram is an interesting detail because that tells us like somewhat of a time frame for when, you know, that allegedly happened. This report was in 2022, but we're dealing with like very old reports in many cases, you know, 10 plus years. Let's try to do the redaction here. I'll see if it pops up. Oh wait, I gotta turn off dark mode on there. It doesn't look like it's coming up. Let me try it. I'll show on copy. Yeah. Doesn't look like it because it should be in here. Yeah. It's just coming up blank there. So these are the newer ones. So it's probably not going to be as much of a deal on these newer ones. But that police report there kind of, or that FBI report, we've all seen that picture many times. The FBI report showed the kind of, these are all redacted, showed that they really do prey on extremely vulnerable people. You know, and they do that intentionally because they know that those girls won't have a support system to really follow up on them in many cases. And that's also what happened with that case with David, like I was just talking about. People are suspecting that the mother of that child might have even been paid off. And they think that that often happened with Epstein as well. See, thanks for taking my call today. They have very simple stuff like this in here to just drown everybody out. But it's, you know, it's worth looking through, trying to see what's in here. We have pulled a lot of interesting stuff from here in the past week, even stuff that wasn't reported. This looks like just a simple message. Let me see if anything is being thrown in here. Same one. Every time I refresh, it takes me, let's see. Here's another legit one, except everything's redacted. Describe the unusual expense. Nope. Nothing through the redactions in there. Got to go down to the bottom for these threads to start actually at the beginning. Let's see, I wanted to let you know I was in Chicago last week. I participated in the IPR conference. Jennifer Clark, Senior Management, Law Enforcement Outreach and Investigations. Let's see. So this was somebody talking about the case, most likely, that was working on it. I am looking for a good time to report over to him, her, related to the Epstein investigation. We are not quite finished on our end, but I would like to have a contact lined up when we were. I have copied S.A. Wilkstrom, the private sector coordinator in our NY field office. Okay, this is very... See if they give any information. It is so crazy how there's probably like tens of thousands of people pouring through this right now trying to find stuff. I would live to help. Thank you. If I don't find any interesting things in here, I'm going to look at the new stuff on Jmal between him and Mohammed bin Salman. I think that was definitely quite interesting. And the stuff with Trump is really crazy. And there were a lot of people who were like coming at me and saying, "Why are you more concerned with Trump?" And uh you know, of course, I haven't neglected from sharing anybody, and I don't have a particular side. I am not a Democrat or a Republican. I do think that the Republicans are worse for sure, but the political system is, it's another story. But anyway, Trump is like the end boss of this in many ways because of the fact that he is covering this up. He looks guilty as hell. There's a good chance that he's the one who had Epstein killed. And, you know, not only was he a client like Bill Gates was, like Bill Clinton was, like they probably all were, he was also a trafficker himself, most likely. And, he owned one of these agencies that acted as these fronts for trafficking. So it's strange that these Epstein, Jean-Luc Brunel, the other guy who owned like M2, I think, or something. It's escaping me, but there were three of them, and they all hung out, and they were all in that same circle. And Trump's the only one who kind of escapes suspicion there, at least from some people. And yeah, like he is in power and politically relevant. Of course, I would love to see a Clinton arrested too, but he's like not super politically relevant. He doesn't matter, and that's why the Democrats are ready to sacrifice him anyway. But I saw today he's ready to sacrifice himself too, so he's ready to take one for the team. Let's see if there's anything in this one. To the bottom, requesting assistance from two agents for the Maxwell investigation. A lot of these are very procedural, um, but it is good that they're out in the public because of the fact that they can kind of act to keep people in check when Maxwell is questioned about things. This kind of stuff can catch her up in lies. Okay, so this is it's probably mostly redacted for the victim in that case. It didn't look like there was a let's see if I can get a better view here. This is probably a little bit better. Let's see. This will probably be a little bit better. Try to remember the numbers as I go through it. This is from New York Criminal Justice. Not super interesting. Same thing. Same thing. This is three different files. I'm not just clicking on the same file. So, all right, that looks like a little bit of a mess there. Let's see if we can go through this view. Another FYI, FBI Seattle and FBI Las Vegas executed a search today on a warehouse owned by Epstein's favorite cohort, David Copperfield, in connection with allegations that, wow, I didn't know this, that Copperfield's warehouse was raided. Copperfield spoke with the girls at Epstein's home on several occasions, and tickets with backstage passes were a favorite birthday gift for Epstein to give to girls. I asked Redacted to contact the case agent to just stay in touch. Wow. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is they're talking about media coverage. One of the newspapers also reported that Epstein's camp had planted the full stories about girls who just sat in his kitchen, filing suit in an attempt to discredit the girls. Yeah, there was a lot of that. There were massive, massive smear campaigns against any of the victims that came forward. And, some of it is still stuck too. I'll contact him, but before I do, we'll chat. Jay was supposed to send me. I know I'm reading this in the wrong direction, but yeah. Will you come? I'm not seeing anything. It was significant to know that David Copperfield's place was raided. I'm gonna do a separate search on the side and see if this has been news yet. Copperfield warehouse raided, because this is like internal 2007. Okay, so this does look like it was reported in 2014 at The Guardian. That's about 1 year. Yeah, 2014, the FBI investigated David Copperfield for 2 years. The claim was that he was exonerated, was widely embraced. Was he? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't appear so, from some of this, and especially we saw a ton of pictures with David Copperfield the other day. Yeah, I've been trying with these new files, they fix that. For the older ones, you can definitely do it, if they haven't cleaned it up, but this is the newest, drop of files, and it seems like they were a little bit, smarter this time with, the redactions, because it's not just, and you could kinda, yeah, tell. I'll copy it into Word just in case and see. Yeah, it's not working. Wow. All right, let's see what else we got in this one. Asked whether he wants counsel. This is 2021, so this is going to be Maxwell's. Nothing really big in there. It's in this big one. This is very helpful. Thanks. Let's see. Go down to the bottom if it was helpful. No. Wow. This looks like. Huh. It's hard to tell from the sometimes you could tell from the context if they're talking about, a victim or a perpetrator, but not always. And, like, what is going on here? Like, why is that necessary? This is internal too. And I think this is around the time of his death, yeah. So, like, I don't know what the excuse is for redacting it that heavily, like, it's probably because they're like, "There's no way that we can get out of here or get, get this evidence out of here." A lot of what I'm skimming through here is just the normal accusations that I just don't want to continue to reread, because what we're looking for is the actual people who are guilty. Yeah, this was all right. So we could look through the Jmail stuff, I think, in a minute, um, because they did upload some new things in there. Let's see. Yeah, let's take a look at Jmail, because there's just so much junk in this new file, and not all of it is actually legit. So there's definitely a lot of fact checking that's going to need to be happening. Um, so let's look at Sultan bin Salman, because this was a big contact for him, and it's and in most of these, Okay, so his first message is, "Dear Sultan, we should move forward. If you want, I can speak directly to your financial people, Jeffrey." So, what should they move forward with? Dear Jeffrey, please contact my chief investment officer, Dr. Yu Laboon. All right, I'm not gonna look him up because he's just the financial officer of Bin Salman. Communicate with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, board member and investigator, an advisor to the Wexner family. So that is how he's introducing him as an advisor to the Wexner family, which is interesting for sure. I just landed in San Diego. So there a lot of this is like very friendly stuff. Um, we found some weird stuff in the email the other night though. Especially with Chomsky we were looking at. How to tell when a real recovery begins. And another thing is Mandelson is in London. This was the one that I missed the other night because I was scrolling too fast, that I wasn't sure if the AI was correct or not. And then I was going through the Wikipedia because I didn't want to have I didn't want to have too much dead air when I was reading through stuff, and it was one of my first streams, so I was just like being a little bit too quick when I was skimming. And yeah, I missed that guy, but it was actually him, a bunch of people that told me in the comments. She is your biggest fan, I am the second. Or no, she is your second biggest fan, I am the first. I sell Dubai to its detractors. And now Bin Salman gives this book to Epstein, and this was 2009. So this was before Bin Salman like was really really prominent. I mean, of course, he's always been powerful, um, but he has become more powerful globally in the past 10 years, and within his family there's been a lot of power struggles because there's a lot of heirs to the throne, as far as I understand. And he has kind of risen through the ranks quite ruthlessly. um, so let's see, a lot of this is just like philosophical stuff, or not necessarily philosophical, but they're waxing philosophical about the state of the world and the state of Dubai. Yeah. He is a typer. Just as we thought, Russian bank Sherman has quietly taken over his capital group's biggest asset, a massive housing, shops. So he's talking about Russia dealings and he's talking about Trump. Goes ahead at the end of the year as planned by Duranin, who has been likened to Donald Trump. I wonder if Ben Salman's going to respond to that one. That's October 16th. Oh, he does. Let's see. No, it's why is that doubled? And he was talking about this was him saying comparing somebody to Trump back in 2000 like 10, or when was that date? 2009 actually. And then they didn't talk, at least not in this email, for 2 years. Let's try to bump up some of the beginning stuff here. This might be interesting. Don't believe the press, Jeffrey says. Yes, we have become friends. You will like him. Okay. Trump doesn't like him, Sultan says. Is that Steve? Oh, okay. So this is actually going in order the other way. I think it is. Yeah, February 23rd. Some of these go up to down and some go down to up. I'm not sure what the reason for that is, but it is quite confusing. Um, so yeah, Sultan is like, "Why are you chilling with Steve Bannon?" Basically, and and he says, "Yes, we have become friends. You will like him. Don't believe the press." That's like kind of a funny exchange. It's not like super revealing, but it is kind of funny. And this was 2018. And it's wild too because this is, even though their relationship goes back, all this stuff is after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted, but I'm sure that Sultan bin Salman doesn't care about that. Like he killed a dude in a and what do they call it? Some kind of government building. Do you know him? I heard he is so close to Trump. So he's probably still talking, really trying to get on Trump's good side. I guess they're good friends now, so never heard of him. Donald is close to no one. He talks to many people. He tells each one something different. That's one of the things that you'll find when you read through these emails is like Jeffrey and Trump, they went through a harsh breakup. They were like the best of friends and then the best of enemies, or the worst of enemies, I guess you could say. They're talking about the inauguration here. So I should accept the invitation sent. Wow. Do you think it will be possible to shake hand with Trump? This is Sultan bin Salman asking Epstein. Very many people going. It will be crowded, but if you can meet some before or after in either way or NY, it might be worth it, but unlikely. And now they had a big event together just about, a month or so ago. Who's Fareen Zakiri? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the guy at CNN. That he's just sending a letter. See what the last one they said to him was. Trump calls Stormy Daniels horseface. That is what Sultan bin Salman sends to Jeffrey Epstein. People are crazy. So John Armstrong. No, okay. Nadia Marcinkova. She was one of his victims that was also highly involved in recruitment. So it was kind of a weird situation. Let's see. Leslie Groff. Do a search, see who she is first. Huh. Let's see. I'll bring up the search right now. All right. Leslie Groff. So she's named. Leslie Groff was more than just an Epstein assistant. She was allegedly one of the operational architects behind the scenes of the trafficking empire. Okay. So let's check her out. See what the deal is there. Leslie Groff. How many do we got? We got. All right. So real quick though, before I do that, I am probably gotta fill my drink and take a quick like 2-minute break. So I'm gonna try to find something to put on here to just run down that time while I'll see if there's any new news related to this. And what's that say? Yeah, okay. So this could be an interesting one. This is one of the stories that I had referenced earlier, and this was one of the like really weird ones that I wasn't sure if we could verify because it was just an FBI tip. It you know, it could have came from anywhere. It wasn't really sourced. So this, I'm surprised to actually see a news story on this. So Yeah, just check this out while I go fill my drink and take a break, and I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Thank you for joining me, and I've been going for like 2 hours. Since I don't have to work tomorrow, I'm gonna probably just keep streaming if people are chilling. Make sure the volume's up on this.
First at 6, striking revelations made in the latest batch of the Epstein files published today. They make mention of a person in Kiefer and a suicide in that area. 2 News Oklahoma's Samson Tamajani explains the 3-page document and spoke to Kiefer police about it.
The FBI's National Threat Operations Center got a tip from a call on October 27, 2020, from a person claiming to have known a woman and her daughters, one of whom told him she was raped by both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And to preface, the following info is from a tip and has not been independently verified. The current Department of Justice has already come out announcing online that it denies many allegations made in unsealed documents this week. The man that the documents reference has his ID and all potential victims' names redacted as well, making the 3 pages and their narratives a bit difficult to follow. According to the FBI documents, the man alleges his former partner told him that in 1997, a woman invited her and her 3 daughters while in New York to, quote, meet Donald Trump and some of his friends, and later gave her money. The document later takes a confusing shift, describing that a girl tells a former limousine driver for Trump that Donald J. Trump raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein, and that it happened after, quote, some girl with a funny name took me inside a fancy hotel or building. That's how it happened. One of the redacted names then told the person to go to police, and the tip alleges they eventually did, but was found dead in an apparent suicide in Kiefer, Oklahoma in January 2000. The end of the document also makes a strange allegation tying Bill and Hillary Clinton to a John Nichols, who tried to, quote, set up a redacted name for the OKC bombing. The main claims, understandably catching local authorities by surprise, including Kiefer Police Chief Johnny O'Mara, an 11-year Kiefer resident only, who says he spent all of Tuesday morning fielding questions from national media.
I looked, and there's absolutely no indication of anything related to information I was able to discern from that DOJ document. It's really confusing. The document is a lot of redactions. So basically, I just took the dates and saw if there was anything related, and there's nothing in our records that would indicate something like that happened inside the city limits of Kiefer.
Chief O'Mara says the date ranges mentioned in the file don't line up with the city of Kiefer death records and believes anything relevant would have been in the Creek County Sheriff's Office's jurisdiction. Creek County Sheriff Brett Bowling then told me Tuesday afternoon that his office and the district attorney's office are looking into the references made in the file and will forward any relevant information to the FBI. In Kiefer, Samson Tamajani, 2 News, Oklahoma.
That's a good question.
President Trump has denied any wrongdoing. The DOJ also calling some of the claims untrue and sensationalist, and submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. Again, the 3-page documents are still newly public and include some confusing details. But Samson will dive deeper into it all coming up tonight after the NBA games. But meanwhile, you can read them for yourself right now under this story on KJRH.com.
Yeah, so that was a pretty crazy story. I'm surprised that got mainstream media coverage, but I think the situation was that was like the local channel there. Oh, what's up, Green Ghost? Good to see you in here again. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so, but yeah, I think it just because it was a local story that it ended up getting some coverage there. Let's look through some of these Leslie Groff emails, because this was apparently like, one of the architects of the organization, according to some of the government documents that we just looked at. So the thing is, from the sounds of things, it seems like most of the very sensitive conversations happened in person or on the phone. But this stuff still gives you a lot of insight into, like, kind of how they were interacting, and there are definitely some clues, and it also, we found a lot of connections through here because they discuss um, where they're going. I think we found out through here that Chomsky had been to Zorro Ranch. Yeah, that was the thing last night that we figured out. Chomsky had been to Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, which was extremely disappointing. Not just the disappointment from knowing that, he was friends with him and that he wrote that letter of recommendation for him, but he had also visited the ranch, which was, probably the most secluded of the locations, because even though the island is on an island, it's the U.S. Virgin Islands, so there's a lot of other islands around to see. But from what I understand, the place in New Mexico was quite remote. So let's see if what this looks like. Simple email. Can you delay your trip 1 week? Trump-related issues occupying my time. This was November 28th, 2016. This was a personal email that Epstein sent between Gene Hugin and his assistant, Leslie Groff. I don't know who Gene Hugin is. I am looking her up right now. Bring her up on screen in a minute. Gene Hugin. Is this possibly a misspelling? No. Maybe it is an alias. Okay, hold on. There is this website I found called epsteinsecrets.com. I've never seen this one before. Let's check this out. So this is a connection. Yeah, they're reading the same email that I am here. This must be a new tool, and they're showing the mutual connections that are, I guess, discussed in here. But Gene Hugin is not. It does not seem like they have any biographical information for, but they do have biographical information for Leslie Groff, which we actually couldn't find online. Leslie Groff appears 140 times across 72 documents as Jeffrey Epstein's personal assistant. And the messed up thing is, like, this wasn't even a person that was really in the news a lot, if at all. I mean, I remember covering this on both times that it was a big story, and I don't remember this name popping up. She was one of 4 staff members named in the 2007 FBI investigation. So she went back then. Named as one of 4 potential co-conspirators, along with Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, and Nadia Marcinkova. Yeah, that's the thing I was saying, is she was also like a co-conspirator, but also a victim. Who received immunity under Epstein's 2007 non-prosecution agreement. And honestly, if Virginia Giuffre did not leave like she did and flee, she would have probably ended up in the same position and seen the same way as Nadia Marcinkova. So I have a little bit of, like, it's a little bit confusing to figure out, like, how she played into that, and if her role was more like Maxwell, where it was like she didn't care, or she was somebody like Virginia, who, while she was in it, she was hoping to get away and trying to get away and didn't feel comfortable enough to be able to. What's Maltego? What would that do? I'm not familiar with that application. But yeah, this is an interesting resource here. Let's check this out a minute since we're here, right? Wow. What is this? Okay. This is quite a web here. And I can see there's victims here. Maria Farmer. She was the first victim. She went to the cops in 1996. She went to the FBI in 1996, and they did not take her seriously, or more correctly, they participated in the cover up. What this is wild. The people are really making a lot of interesting resources. Oh, okay. So Mail to Go produces something like this. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. So Adam Horowitz, Jack P. Hill. Some of these we looked through. I'm trying to find some new names in here. Larry Summers, John F. Kennedy. What? Why are you in here? Why are you in here? It's probably because he's in the. Okay. He appears 100. So okay. So this is kind of interesting because it shows you how much each person appears too. So Sergey Brin, let's take a look at him because this is the guy who founded Google, one of the founders of Google. There's a lot of sketchy stuff with him. So 62 times across 43 documents, primarily in the Epstein files, or primarily in emails and book excerpts. See the key highlights. Multiple documents describe Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin visiting Epstein's plane on the Monterey tarmac when their company was still in its infancy or rising into the stratosphere. 2019 email from Epstein to himself lists Sergey among names in what's labeled lists for Bannon Steve, alongside figures like Dersh and others. So that could just be a name of people that or a list of people that he wanted to name drop to Bannon. Apparently, Epstein and Bannon's relationship was very much centered on their mutual hate for Donald Trump because they were both, on the outs with Trump at the time. A lot of book references. And I'm curious why these people are all off to the side here. Oh, okay. Abraham Lincoln's in here. Why is he catching strays? What? See, this is the thing that I was saying about how they're putting everything they can out there to delude the Yeah, I don't know why these are listed so far away in this map, and it's like they're only connected through Robert Maxwell. Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. So Robert Maxwell was Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who was like a media tycoon. So he knew all these are people from his generation, I guess, that he was connected with. Even George Soros, Richard Dawkins. I don't think he's legitimately old enough for let's see Leon Black. This is one of the people who a lot of Epstein's wealth came from. This guy and Les Wexner. Listed in emails as one of several pro-Jeffrey power brokers contacted during damage control efforts. See, look at this. He gave Epstein $158 million for tax and estate planning. I've heard a lot of different things about whether or not he was actually smart enough to do tax stuff. like, because there is, of course, thank you, a lot of theories that, he was just dumb and couldn't even do math basically. And, but I don't think that was accurate. I think it was like kind of more in between, is that he was intelligent enough in some ways, but he was an expert scammer. And, there's a lot of those people around, but I think he got lucky to fall into the right places. But let's look back at this and just kind of compare. I'm surprised that Leon Black was only in there 70 sometimes. Paul Ryan's in there. This is a good resource too. People are really going ham. These developers are really going crazy with their interfaces that they're making for this. Where did let's see how Bush is in here. 302 times. Clinton is in there. 1,255. Let's see with Trump, which will not be accurate because there's so many redactions, but I'm kind of curious. I saw him when we first were in here. I'll keep my eye open. Bill Clinton has more mentions than Ghislaine Maxwell. That's kind of wild. Virginia has 279. I will say I said this a couple streams ago, but I'd highly recommend reading that book. It is very, very powerful, and it really describes kind of the problems in our society that enable this kind of stuff. I mean, that was the really, really profound thing about that book. I mean, a lot of the stuff about the case has been said before. Les Wessner is only in here 191 times. See, he granted Epstein power of attorney over him while he's just, he's not on his deathbed or anything. Like, you got to be under blackmail for that. But yeah, there are big debates about whether he was Donald Trump 2,775. Is that more than Clinton? I'm be shocked if that's more than Clinton, because I know he put out. Yeah, that's twice as much. Wow. I mean, a lot of that is a lot of that is sketch. A lot of that is also his discussions with Bannon and Michael Wolff, because a lot of that has been introduced as evidence. So, but let's see the key highlights. Ghislaine Maxwell was questioned about Trump and her DOJ proffer transcript. Oh yeah, that was when she said he was a gentleman. Well-documented photographs show Trump and Epstein socializing at Mar-a-Lago and New York parties. We all know that. Epstein personal email shows inner circle discussing Trump. Mark Epstein called him Donnie D, and associates forwarded research to the DJT Brain Trust. Mentioned Epstein-related litigation. He banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after an incident. That incident was most likely a real estate argument, or really like just Trump kind of screwed him over. The archive also contains automated newsletters and campaign emails. And by screwed him over, I mean that to just give the full story. Trump or Epstein had found a property that he liked in Palm Beach, and Trump's the real estate guy, and he thought they were friends. So he's like, "You take a look at this for me." So then Trump bought the property and then sold it for like 3 times what it was worth. And then ever since then, Epstein has been like with the board where you're pinning the things, like basically what I have a digital version of right here, where he is really insistent that that Trump is on some big money laundering thing, which with like foreign oligarchs apparently. That was his theory, and that came up in some of those emails. Bradley Edwards, that is the victim's attorney. Jeff Sessions is catching strays in here. Let's see what this nerd is. Okay. Multiple documents use sessions, a common word, massage sessions, training sessions, music sessions, with no relation to Jeff Sessions, the person. I'm sure a lot of it is that. Yeah. That's funny. So there's some anomalies in here that get through, but overall, like these resources make the information more digestible because of the fact that they're dumping so much paperwork on people. It's that classic move. Prince Andrew, we didn't look at him. You can move these around. Okay. 296, that's it. And he's screwed. He's not a prince anymore. So they're saying that he might actually end up in jail because of the fact that the British royal family is rightfully concerned that people don't want a royalty anymore, especially after a lot of this, and people are fed up with having a royalty. So they are essentially going to try to sacrifice him, most likely, as a way of prolonging the inevitable. Kevin Spacey, we all know about a lot of these. But I like how they have the summaries that tell you Netanyahu, what's up here? 96 times. What's this guy? What's going on with you? Most mentioned are from automated news subscriptions. One satirical email. A crude financial passage referencing Bill Clinton on the phone with Netanyahu during inappropriate conduct with Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, this has come out that there's a very good chance that Bill Clinton was blackmailed, and it correlated with things that were happening in Israel apparently too. I saw on some video. I'm not sure if that's confirmed, but I saw in some documentary I was watching a while ago, and I think it was like a PBS documentary, not some like random internet thing. Okay. It could have been some of the mentions could have been somebody called BB Stark instead, covering multiple. So this is, I was curious about him because of the fact that Epstein and Ehud Barak had the intelligence company. It was the I don't know exactly. It was like the kind of counterintelligence. I'm not sure how you would describe it, but it was kind of like a private Palantir kind of offering that they were trying to shop around to different countries. And let's see if we can find him. Let me spell his name. Oh, what? Persons, organizations. Why isn't he in here? Ah, here we go. Let's see what his mentions were. Listed among prominent Epstein jet passengers. Okay. 2016 email article describes Brock having breakfast with Epstein, where he is over his omelet able to defend both Obama and Putin. Spokesman statement confirms Barak attended several small functions at Epstein's New York home with leading businessmen. Court documents explicitly states, that I don't believe. especially from what Virginia Giuffre has said. She has said that he was like the most brutal person that she dealt with and was probably one of the main reasons why she ended up leaving and realizing that Epstein really didn't care about her, because when she told him about her interaction with Ehud Barak and how he was like violent with her, Epstein's response was, "You get that sometimes." And that was kind of the moment where she was like, "I need to get out of here. This isn't safe." And of course, it was never safe, but because she really did a good job of explaining that, because a lot of things were normalized throughout her life, um, you know, that it was very hard for her to see what she was a part of, and they definitely targeted people like that. So it appears in one court filing among individuals, someone was allegedly, yes, this is that situation, the Virginia Giuffre situation. Let's see. See what else they got in here. Because like I said, these interfaces really help you kind of make sense of what um like what's in these documents. Um and the website is just epsteinsecrets.com, and the other one is Jmail, or jmail.world. So those are the two best documents that I think, or the best resources that I think are available now. But if you find any other ones, let me know, and I'll definitely look through them. This is the whole list here of names of people that are on here, and of course, as they always say, every 2 seconds on the news, this does not indicate any wrongdoing. Of course, it does in like 90% of the circumstances as far as I'm concerned, but there are a lot of random ass people that do catch strays for no reason. Like Harry Reid, let's see if Harry Reid had appears in media personality lists, name sound, okay. So yeah, like this guy appears in the Epstein files a lot because um he is in news articles that's sent back and forth. So that's the reason why I said like we got to be somewhat careful with some of these. But it is really good that they've isolated the people like this, because that eliminates a lot of the work for us, at least to some extent. Because the thing with some of these websites is you never know like how recently they've been updated. Jmail's been pretty good, but yeah. So with Harry Reid, he was like this very weird congressman who like was into like UFOs and stuff. I remember doing a couple articles about him way back in the day when he was like saying he had information on UFOs and shit. Cause yeah, definitely always covered all that kind of stuff. Let's see. All right. Acosta. This is, I know there's not going to be enough on here for him. I mean, we all know that he was the one who, was responsible for the plea deal. And he also is the person who said that he was told to back off because Epstein was had intelligence connections. Yeah, I really think that there's a lot going on with him, and it's really so weird that he ended up being Trump's labor secretary, and then you got Howard Lutnick, who's in there now. I forget what position he's in. He's in one of them treasury positions, and he was Epstein's next door neighbor. There's all these weird connections. Yeah, Epstein was really close to him. Larry Summers, mega creep. He's the guy that had the email that said, do not share this observation. And then he proceeds to say like the most creepy thing while he's asking for advice on how to like creep on his mentee, which is like right there. Like, you don't do that at all. Like, leave her the hell alone, dude. Let's see. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome. I'm going through the list of names compiled here on epsteinsecrets.com. I've been browsing through a couple of these different interfaces that help us make sense of the files. Trying to see if I could find anything new in here. A lot of these are quite, I think we've went through a lot of these, but some of them are new. Let's see Bill Gates. We all know he's been in there, but let's see if there's anything. Multiple documents reference Epstein advising Gates on ways to increase the Gates Foundation's impact by pulling funds from other wealthy individuals. And he was like a lot closer to Epstein than he let on before. That's actually one of the reasons why his wife left him. And she ended up saying that publicly too. This is epsteinsecrets.com. Yeah. Peter Thiel, 82 mentions across 51 documents. Yeah, see, so he was at Epstein's house with Bill Gates and Mort Zuckerman. Okay, I thought that said Mark Zuckerberg for a minute there. Described in what appears to be a media article about Epstein's social circle. Mentioned in a brief. Lawrence Krauss, we looked him up the other night, and he had a bunch of not just in trouble for hanging out with Epstein, but also like allegations. This one's on Trump. I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I'll take a look at that one, Jonathan. Let's see. How do I copy that? Let's see. I can grab that from the Twitch chat. But yeah, that is see what else we got as that's loading. Yeah, Peter Thiel is. I'm gonna. I think tomorrow night, since I guess it's Christmas Eve, or yeah, I'm probably gonna stream this 10, 12-year-old debate between Peter Thiel and David Graeber. It's really interesting. I haven't watched it in a while, but I watched it a couple years ago. It's really good, and it kind of shows you just the kind of future that both of them were projecting. David Graeber is more of like an anarchist, and Peter Thiel as like, you know, the tech libertarian. And yeah, so we're gonna check that out tomorrow. But Peter Thiel is insanely evil. Rudy Giuliani. What was with that thing that happened with him a couple months ago where he claimed that he was on the side of the road trying to save some woman or something, and then a car hit him, and then he like appeared on some podcast in like one of those full body braces things. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the full story was behind that, or how that ended up. You know, how if anybody actually found out what he really did. Yeah, I'm trying to get that. Can you send the link again one more time in the chat? Because I have Twitch open now, and I couldn't see the old one for some reason. I'm using this other streaming platform that's multi-streaming, and for some reason it won't let me copy paste. But if you send it in the Twitch chat again, I'll be able to get it. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, let's see what's in this one. This one is 1997. He made contact with redacted, date of birth, whom he had known for 6 to 7 years prior. They had a son together. So, okay. He met a lady who invited her daughters, date of birth, fancy hotel, and met Donald Trump and some of his friends in 1997, continued asking how to spell Ghislaine, implying Ghislaine had given her money and would give her additional money if he needed. On Christmas Eve 1999, or the day prior, redacted was over visiting with his son, who he had with years prior. So they're cutting out all the context clues here. Began talking to blank as she seemed to be acting strange and asked if he needed a ride home. Redacted asked about the time driving a limousine for 2 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. During his time as a driver, he had met with Donald Trump. Noted he picked the president up in 1995 and took him to the DFW airport. Reported some of the things Trump had spoken about during the ride while on his cell were very concerning. Reported that he was a few seconds away from pulling the limousine over to the median and pulling him out of the car and hurting him due to some of the things he was saying, as caller chose not to. So this was apparently a limo driver that was driving Trump around and overheard him saying creepy stuff. Let's see if we could get some details. Noted that Trump continuously stated the name Jeffrey while on the phone and made references to abusing some girl. So this was the cab driver's words, not Trump's apparently. But he was summarizing what Trump was talking about. I'm sure that it was in much more crude terms. He was unsure about who he was talking to or who he was referencing. As Redacted talked about his time meeting Donald Trump, immediately the demeanor went stone cold and stated, okay, yeah, I do think I saw this one earlier. Said what? And he replied, Donald J. Trump, or along with Jeffrey Epstein. Noted that some girl with a funny name took me to a fancy building. That's how it happened. Some girl with a funny name is probably Ghislaine. Police regarding the incident, as stated, I can't, they will kill me on Christmas Day. Yeah, this was the Oklahoma one. I saw there's a if you go back on the stream about a half hour, I played a news clip related to that as well. But it's good to see the full document. Yeah, definitely. I have it set to save the VOD, so you should be able to check that. I think this is the longest stream I've done. I've gone for over 2 hours now. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Hitler's in the Epstein files. Pope Francis. A lot of these are probably just mentions. So I like to look through this stuff though and check it all out. Total documents, total pages, view network. So back to Gmail then. I'll probably stay on for a little bit longer, look through a couple more of these. Cool, I'll check this other one out. Getting another document in here. I previously provided a tip about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, under an alias I have for myself. All the other details of the previous tip match all the information given in today's tip, except I am giving my real name. A detective from NYPD FBI task force called me for a couple weeks ago from a 212 area code number. I talked to him for about 20 to 30 minutes about being trafficked by my uncle and Jeffrey Epstein in 1984 while I was 13 and pregnant. I told him some other important information about other high-profile individuals involving my trafficking and the murder and disposal of my newborn daughter because I gave birth to her while in the middle of this trafficking ordeal. Wow, this is ridiculous. This is terrible. I cannot remember the detective's name, nor do I have his number. Like, this seems like, unless somebody is really, really cosplaying here with their FBI tip, this seems like a person who's describing a real situation for sure. Yeah. And I just want to reconnect with the original detective that called me, and I offered information about this. Wow. He was orchestrating a deal along with my uncle, where a different man and a few women and girls would come to a variety of boats and yachts and pay to force me to do blank when I was 13 and pregnant. Wow. And this was kind of, to some extent, described by Virginia Giuffre too in her book. She suspected that her dad was paid off by Trump, and not only that, like, she was abused by her dad too, and her dad worked for Trump, and she was recruited by Ghislaine at Mar-a-Lago. So, you know, it's kind of, all of those connections are kind of strange, especially considering the fact that Virginia's father, like, kind of handed her off to some of his friends when she was young. So did he offer her to Trump? Like, you know what I'm saying? And is that how he got linked up with Epstein to get paid off? Because he, you know, the day that she got picked up by Glenn, her father was the person that drove her to Epstein's house and dropped her off and continued to take her there after the history that they had had. So that is super sus. Even though Virginia said that, you know, there was never anything that she suspected of Trump, maybe it's because it was all behind the scenes. Who knows? Now, that's a lot of speculation on my part, but I definitely, the clues were there in the book, you know. Yeah, so this is another really twisted one, and this is the second one in here that suggests that look at the witness information. This is the second one that suggests that he had somebody taken out to protect oh wow. They say their name is Donald Trump. Is that what they're saying? Witness information, first name. What's that about? That's kind of weird. And there's also the fact that Jeffrey might have been another person. And I really don't doubt that most presidents probably have a personal body count like that. I would not be surprised, because you never know. Like, a lot of this crazy stuff happens behind the scenes, and a lot of the people that get into power for a reason. It's because they're ruthless and they're willing to step on top of whoever they can to get to the top, and that usually includes, you know, it can include murder. Maybe usually includes is getting a little bit too crazy this late, but you know what I'm saying. Let's see. Let's see his Alan Dershowitz. Ooh, why did this go to light mode all of a sudden? What's up? What's up? Get me out of here. Hold on. Oof, there we go. That was killing me. There was additional info there? I'll go back to it. Did I miss something? Let's see. I'll bring it up again. Additional info. Oh. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is likely near his ranch. Just waiting to reconnect with the original detective. Yeah, that's a wild one, man. Page 3. Yeah, right? That's what I was just looking at. Yeah, this is Yeah, that I read that a minute ago. I'm not trying to like be too graphic here so I don't get clapped by the algorithm. But yeah, that uh with him was present when my uncle. So they're trying to say that they're Donald Trump's nephew? Is that what they're saying? Yeah, like that is kind like that is a some of these are very confusing, but this one is definitely interesting. And like I said, go back on the VOD later. We watched a news clip about that as well. Oh, there's JML. Let's check out no, they're trying to say that Trump was present when her uncle killed her baby. Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. I see that part's kind of crazy because that's like some mobster shit where you have to be there, you have to be like present. Um, you know, because I would imagine him as somebody who tries to not get his hands dirty, but at the same time, you know, it definitely reads like somebody who is genuinely traumatized, you know, and who's genuinely looking for answers. Um, so look, Alan Dershowitz is like one of his best friends, and I know that I'm the interface kind of tricks your brain a little bit, and it was like this is not his actual email account. These are just um the emails that were hacked imported into an interface that looks like email, so it's a lot easier to read than the documents. So it's not going to have everything, um, but a lot of these are going to be, especially with Dershowitz, they're going to be advising him legally, especially. This is 2011. This is years after he was reportedly cleared, and they're still kind of having conversations about this. Oh, because they're worried about press. That's one of the things. Who's Brett Jaff? I haven't seen him in any of this stuff. Let's look him up real quick. So he's a lawyer. So he's just another person who's helping these people out. Annette Weatheridge. I like to search like this all the people in that appear in these documents just so I can. This image came up when I searched one of the ghost people earlier, I feel like, didn't it? Oh, it's because she's a reporter. That's why. These are just reports from they're basically sharing the there's the Ehud Barak accusation. And this is coming from the Mail. So these are news stories that they are upset about, that they're trying to do damage control on, or accusations that have appeared in the news.